Hello and welcome to Barbagallo for round 2 of the S.R.O.L GT3 Championship. Known line rock enthusiast Nick Woodbury describes Barbagallo as an Australian version of his favourite track. With that times under a minute, Barbagallo is the shortest track on the calendar, but that doesn't mean that the racing here isn't fierce. After the opening round at Mosport, a single point separates the leading pair of Bailey and Woodbury for the lead of the championship. The only one missing from this fight is Anders Nilsson, our first GT3 champion, who was a bit under the weather at Mosport and made a rare mistake in the feature race. He recovered well to win a sprint race from pole, but the points in the second race are significantly decreased compared to the first. Qualifying was just as close as it was at Mosport, with the top 9 drivers being covered by less than 8 tenths of a second. It was Stephen Bailey, however, that clinched the pole with a lap time 53.3 seconds, beating out Nilsson by 300ths of a second. Let's see how he did it. On board with Stephen Bailey now is going across the line, start a flying lap on just under 135 miles an hour for a break at the cone to the left there, down to second gear and 60 miles an hour for turn 1, very soft on the throttle on the way out, you don't want to spin the car around before the lap started. Turn 2 and 3 come the form of S's there, watch out for the curbs on the left and the right, you don't want to hit those, they'll unset the car. Turn 4, very smooth corner, that with the lap time round here, make sure you get it right while avoiding that little white curb on the left. Turn 5 again, curb on the right, hit that on the inside and you'll get flung out to the barrels on the outside and you'll race most likely. Turn 6, otherwise known as a Big Dipper, very important for lap time, be sure to be smooth around here, using all the road on the outside of the track but not putting a wheel into the grass now. You have a moment to compose yourself now as you're going down the straight up to just under 155 miles an hour, for preparing for the last corner here. Brake hard just before this little VB sign on the left here, down to second gear, touch the inside curb, touch the outside curb, don't go over it though, it will unsettle the car. Put your foot to the floor and hope for a good lap time. So the full qualifying results then, obviously Stephen Bailey coming pole with Anders Nilsson in second place, Shadow Stenbeck in third place in the Porsche with Nick Woodbury in fourth place in the Ferrari, Paul Schumann fifth in his Aston Martin with Junior Robbins sixth, Garth Buchanan and John Bacho in the BMW 7th and 8th respectively, Dan Menges is 9th in his Porsche, Nabil Aboushar in his GTR Skyline is in 10th, and Chris James, who didn't set a time, is back in 11th. So we start the feature race on board with Paul Schumann in the Aston Martin. Schumann gets a poor start and spins his wheels. This allows the fast starting Mercedes of Junior Robbins to move up into 5th place before the first corner. Ahead of us we see Woodbury guard the inside of Shadow Stenbeck, the American showing his intentions for the race nice and early. We go on board now with Junior Robbins' Mercedes, so we go downhill to turn 6, the Dipper. We see Shadow Stenbeck making a slight mistake, going off on the left hand side, just getting a wheel on the grass which drags you off. This actually moves the Swede down to last place and promotes Jimmy up into 4th. Behind Robin, action unfolds between Buchanan and Schumann, as the BMW driver outbraked himself into the last corner, hitting Schumann into the gravel. This resulted in an instant 5-place grid penalty for Buchanan for race 2. Here's the incident from Garth's perspective. On board with Chris James in the SLS AMG, James, who's dived back at the grid, is doing his best to work his way past the Nissan of Nabil Aboushar. James gets a better run off turn 6 and gets up the inside. All the while, Shadow Stenbeck is watching the pair, waiting for his chance to strike. Due to a grid mix-up, Bacho was disqualified from the race 3 laps in. This was no doubt disappointing for the American, as feature races make up the majority of the championship points. Paul Schumann, who is working his way back through the field after his incident, goes side by side with Nabil Aboushar in the last corner. The pair stay next to each other going to turn 1. There's contact, and Schumann is again put off into the grass. Aboushar shows his sportsmanship later on in the lap by slowing down for Schumann to let him catch up again. On board with Dan Menges now, showing us why you shouldn't be hitting that curve down at turn 6. His car's unsettled and uses all the speed he gets down the straight usually. This allows Chris James, who has a much better run through the corner, to put alongside him, and then go round the outside of him down at the last turn of the course. A very impressive move by James. After going wide in turn 5, Dan Mingers is then overtaken by Shella Stenbeck going down to the braking zone of turn 6. At the top of the field, second place Anders Nilsson makes a similar mistake to Dan Mingers, going wide at turn 5 and allowing Nick Woodbury to slip by. Garth makes contact with a different car in the final turn. This time it's Chris James overtaking up the inside. Buchanan was waiting for Chris to cross over, but James held the line as Garth tapped his rear end, which resulted in both of them spinning around. After an eventful race, it was Stephen Bailey that came home to take his second feature race win in a row, beating second place Nick Woodbury by just over 6 seconds. Buchanan finished a lap down in 7th place, shows his frustration after it was a difficult race by throwing his BMW into the wall. So here are the full results from the first race. So Bailey first and it's Woodbury second, as we've already seen. Anders Nilsson managed to hold on to 3rd place, seems like he was struggling today. Jimmy Broadbent was 3rd, 4th place in a row, with Chris James behind him in 5th, a good drive from him, he started at the back of the grid. Paul Schumann managed to pull back his Aston Martin to 6th place with Garth Buchanan in 7th. 8th is Dan Mingers, he's the last finisher. Shella Stenbeck, Nabil Abouchar and John Bacho all did not complete the race. We start race 2 on board with Jimmy Broadbent, who is sitting in 3rd place on the grid. Broadbent has a good start in the Mercedes but has nowhere to carry his speed due to slow starting cars in front of him. He is forced off the track and is mostly down to 7th place. It was an easy one to miss, but Nilsson had to rocket at the start, going from 4th to 1st before even reaching the first corner. After a bad start, Broadbent is eager to make back positions. He tries very hard to outbrake Shella Stenbeck into the last corner but doesn't quite make it there in time. Tries to take his speed round the outside and as a result the pair go nearly side by side going down the pit straight. In turn 1 however Shella is a better line and Broadbent is forced to keep his position. The action doesn't stop there however. Broadbent tries a bit too hard going to turn 4 and spins the car on the exit. This was the first of 3 spins for the Brit, making this a race to forget. On board with Chris James now in the SLS. Chris brakes a little bit late going down into turn 6 and actually hits Paul Schumann in the rear mid corner. This allows Lime Rock enthusiast Nick Woodbury to go past from the outside and up into 3rd place. In what has been heralded as the greatest overtaking move of all time, Patrick gets alongside Bailey going to turn 1 and overtakes him on the inside. Nilsson's under pressure from Buchanan after a mistake earlier this lap. Garth puts his car up the inside at the final turn, but Anders shuts the door, spinning Garth. It was later decided that Anders did not give Garth room, and he was awarded the 5th place grid penalty for round 3. A few laps later, Chris James makes a mistake at turn 5 going wide, which allows Shella Stenbeck up into 3rd place. Swede on a good drive after starting at the back of the grid. The fight for 3rd continued throughout pretty much all the race, with Shella Stenbeck trying his best to hold off Chris James and Stephen Bailey in the Mercedes. Chris James even gets a bit loose going through turn 5, looking like he's going to hand the 4 position over to Bailey, and manages to keep it under wraps. Very close racing from these 3, and very impressive that there was no contact made. At the top of the field, Nick Woodbury spies a chance to take first place away from Paul Schumann. He placed his car on the inside at the last corner. There is contact between the two, but Nick Woodbury comes out in the lead. Stenbeck was eager to get back his third place from Chris James. He tries a bold strategy of going over the curb at turn 3, pretty much launching his car off the ground. He manages to make it stick though, and takes back his third place in a very audacious manoeuvre. It will be Nick Woodbury though, who takes the win of his very lively place from Paul Schumann, making this his first win of the S.R.O.L Championship. Behind him though, the battle for third was raged until the line, with Shadow Stenbeck holding on Chris James and Stephen Bailey for their last step on the podium. So here are the full results from the sprint race then, with Nick Woodbury, Paul Schumann and Shadow Stenbeck on the podium. Chris James in 4th with Stephen Bailey 5th. John Batcho comes in 6th with Garth Buchanan 7th. 8th is Anders Nielsen and 9th is Jimmy Robin with A Race to Forget. So the championship is really starting to hot up now as you head into round 3 at Zandvoort. As always, sign-ups are open, so there's a link in the description if you're interested in joining. Thank you very much for watching and have a lovely day.